Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. So glad that you've joined us today. There are so many parallels between a leader and a parent. And just like parents, too often leaders can become overly responsible for the people that they lead. The sixth sign of emotional maturity is taking responsibility for your own emotional being and destiny. You remember that one? And the seventh sign of emotional maturity is being responsible for and speaking for yourself and only yourself. And there's something about a responsible leader that cannot be underestimated. So do me a favor, stick around as we unbox your leadership and unbox relationships. I'm Dr. Robert Davis, family life educator and relationship coach. And welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life. All right. Welcome, everyone. So glad to have you. Before we get started, do me a quick favor. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. That's right. Like, subscribe, and share. And those of you who are listening to this via our podcast, please make sure that you visit our website. That's www.swg-unboxed.org. You can follow us on all of our social media platforms. It's at SWG Unboxed. That's right, at SWG Unboxed on all the social media platforms. And our website is swg-unboxed.org. All right, again, the seventh sign of the leader's emotional maturity is being responsible and speaking for yourself and only yourself. The last time that we were together, we discussed how empathy causes leaders to take on the responsibility for other people's emotions and actions. And they do this all in the name of being more empathetic. And I know that what I said the last time and what I'm saying now can come across as not only counterculture, but also counterintuitive. But before you go to the seventh indicator, and before we really get in depth, I really want to wrap our minds around this idea of being responsible for others. And I want to go a little deeper than I did the last time about why this is counterproductive. Think about it like this: we cannot be mature, authentic leaders if we encourage and pacify the immaturity of our team. A mature leader by nature, catch this now, a mature leader by nature raises the level of maturity in their team. Um, as you raise the level of as a rise, tongue tied today. It's been a long day, y'all, so stick with me. A rise in your level of functioning produces a rise in the functioning of those around you. Let me give you a little understanding of what I'm talking about here. A rise in your level of emotional functioning produces a rise in the emotional maturity of those around you. That's what leaders do. Leaders help to lift their team up. So how does that look? Let me give you an example of how that looks. We know that a sign of immaturity is gossiping. We've talked about this over and over again, triangling, gossiping, whatever you want to call it. If a leader refuses to engage in gossiping, it automatically reduces the level of gossip within the team, thus, by nature, elevating the level of maturity within the team. We'll say that again. So if you have a team of 7 people and 7 people were gossiping, the leader says, I'm not going to engage in it. Now you only have 6 people that are gossiping. You just, by removing yourself from the gossiping component, you just elevated the level of maturity on your team. But from an emotional perspective, it works even deeper than that. When a person takes a principled position and says, this is what I'm going to do, you raise the level because others are automatically going to begin. So you're reducing the amount of gossip that is taking place, and you're raising the level of maturity, which again raises the whole level of maturity for your team. And whether it's gossiping or withdrawing, I know that was one of the things that I really was good at, withdrawing, especially, and the thing about me as a leader, when I was pastoring specifically, When I ran into individuals who I considered to be difficult, it was easy for me to withdraw from them, all in the name of I don't have time to bother them because they're slowing down this very important work of saving the world that I'm doing. I've got to save the world and they're slowing me down. But think about it. If I decide that, you know what I'm going to do? Everyone else, when they get annoyed and frustrated with others, they distance themselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish a one-to-one relationship and continue to be in relationship even with those who are opposing me, sabotaging me, talking about me, whatever it may be. Guess what that does? That increases the number of one-to-one relationships, healthy one-to-one relationships within the team. And so guess what? You just raised the level of the maturity. You can talk about that, whether it's with conflict or over functioning or whatever it may be. A leader wants to be part of the relationship system without being controlled by the relationship system. And how does he or she do this? By remaining focused and responsible. There's that word again. By remaining focused and responsible for your words, your thoughts, your responses, and your actions, and only yours. So rather than trying to be responsible for everybody else, I'm going to be responsible for mine. I'm going to be, because if I can get my level of maturity up, by nature, it raises the level of maturity of those around me. By removing my dysfunctional patterns from the relationship system, guess what happens? It decreases the number of dysfunctional patterns within the relationship system, thereby making the entire system function at a higher level. If I can monitor, regulate me, by default, it automatically raises the level. The leader wants to be a part of the relationship system without accommodating the most immature and selfish person. And how does this happen? By remaining focused and responsible for your words, your thoughts, your responses, and your actions, and only yours. That's how you do it. I want to remain in the relationship system, but I don't want to accommodate the most immature. I don't want to be accommodating of the most selfish people. How do I do that? How do I get them to act right? Do I grab and shake them? No. Go into the mirror, grab and shake yourself, and remain refocused on your responsibility, your words, your thoughts, your responses, your actions, etc. If and this is something I want to share, if I'm going to put this on the screen, if the leader is lacking in maturity and tolerates the same deficiency in others, the most dependent, the most recalcitrant, and irresponsible individuals will be the de facto heads of the system. They will call the shots. So if you allow the most immature person, the most recalcitrant person, the most dependent person to govern how you lead, and you're in constant response to them, then guess what happens? By them controlling you, they end up controlling the entire team. They become the de facto leader. They control the strings of the person who controls the strings. So don't let anybody control your strings, because you're not a puppet dancing on the strings. When I coach leaders, I often ask them to tell me who they are responsible to and what they are responsible for. I've shared this with you before. I never tell them who should be on that list. As we have that conversation and they're writing out that list, I never tell them who should be on that list, because that's for them to decide. However, and I'll be honest with you, I am often baffled by who never makes the list. I'm often baffled who doesn't make that list. Leaders always give a long list of people, and I encourage them to do so. Family members, they go through their team members. Do they, if they're executive directors or whatever, they talk about their board that they're responsible to, and then the people who answer underneath them. And I'm responsible to various governmental agencies, to make sure that we're following regulations. And they go through this whole thing about who they are responsible to. And I have yet to hear a leader say, I am responsible to me. I want you to chew on that for a second. I have yet to have a leader to say, I am responsible to me. And of course, if they were to say that, my next question will be, what are you responsible for? If I ever get the opportunity to coach you, here's the answer or some variation that you should give to that question. If you tell me, I am responsible to me, then this is what I'm going to ask you. What are you responsible for? And the answer is, I am responsible for being the best, most mature leader I can be. Now, you're responsible to the government. What are you responsible for? I am responsible for making sure that we get our tax information in on time. You're responsible to your board of directors. What are you responsible for? I'm responsible for making sure that I keep them updated about the vision, the direction, how the organization is running, et cetera, et cetera. Your subordinate, your direct subordinate, what are you responsible to them for? I am responsible for making sure that they have clear guidance on what is expected of them, where we're headed, blah, 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 blah. All right, now, what are you responsible to yourself for? I am responsible to me for being the most mature leader that I can be. That's all you can be responsible for. How you manage yourself and the level of maturity you bring to your team. Start being responsible for your own emotional being and destiny, and speaking for yourself and only yourself, because only you can unbox your leadership by unboxing relationships. I'll see you next time.
Seasoned with Grace, Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.